We're talking about the time when Musa alayhi salam was forced to leave Egypt. Now, he was raised in the palace of Fir'aun himself. Fir'aun was told that a boy will be born who will overthrow your monarchy, your kingdom. So he decided to kill all the boys who were born. Any woman becomes pregnant, they will wait to see what she delivers. If it's a boy, they'll kill him. A girl, they'll leave her. It is said about 20,000 boys were killed. But Mashi'atullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah wills something, even if all of humanity unites together, they won't be able to stop the will of Allah. They plan, and Allah plans, and Allah is the best planner. إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا أو يمكرون ويمكر الله والله خير الماكرين. They plan and Allah plans. So Musa alayhi salam, his mother became pregnant with him, but she never showed any sign of pregnancy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made her look as if she's like any other woman. And Fir'aun had told all the, back then, there was no hospital where they go to deliver, where it was called the midwife. I don't know if you have midwives over here. There are these midwives who go to the house and help the woman deliver. So he had told all the midwives that if you find a woman pregnant, you have to tell me. You have to tell us, because we have to know. So at the time of the delivery of Musa alayhi salam, a midwife comes. This midwife, the minute she sees Musa alayhi salam, she falls in love with him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the ways He protected Musa alayhi salam is that anyone who saw him, he fell in love with him. وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي. Allah tells him that I made it that everyone loves you, so that people don't talk about you. They don't tell. So when she saw him, she loved him, she kept quiet, she didn't tell anyone. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed through inspiration to the mother of Musa, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَى. We revealed to the mother of Musa that if you're worried about him, nurse him, feed him, and then put him into a wooden box and throw him into the water. And don't worry, don't be afraid, don't be sad. إِنَّا رَادُّوهُ إِلَيْكِ. We will bring him back to you. So that's what she did, that's what she does. Puts him in a box, throws him into the water. The water brings him all the way to the palace of Fir'aun. They pick up the box, they find the boy. Fir'aun says, kill him. But his wife, Asiya, his name is not mentioned in the Quran. History tells us that her name was Asiya. She told him, no, leave him. Again, she fell in love with him. She liked him. She said, keep him. Leave him for me. I will raise him. قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ لِي وَلَكَ. So he does. He leaves him for her. And Musa alayhi salam, here is Fir'aun wanting to find the boy who will overthrow his kingdom. And it turns out that he raises the boy in his own house, in his own place. He sits down with him on his own table. He feeds him himself. This is truly a lesson for many people. That you know what? When Allah wills something, He makes it happen. And that makes us also believe that no matter how much difficulty we might experience in life, We should always never give up hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the help could come in ways you don't even think about it. I mean, if you people, brothers and sisters, read Surah Yusuf, if this is not from the Quran, you think this is a fairy tale. You know, a boy is thrown into the well, people come from the well, they pick him up, and then he gets sold as a slave, and then he goes into the prison, and then later on the king has a dream, and this boy knows how to interpret the dream. I mean, you think this is a fairy tale. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He moves things in a particular way and makes things happen. That's why there is a hadith that says, أَنَا عِنْدَ حُسْنِ ظَنِّ عَبْدِي إِنْ خَيْرًا فَخَيْرٌ وَإِنْ شَرًّا فَشَرٌ. I am whatever my servant thinks. In the sense, if he thinks good of me, I will show him some good. If, however, God forbid, he gives up hope from my mercy, he doesn't really believe in me, then that's what he will get as well. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Anyone who doesn't remember me, who turns his back away from me, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, then he will have a difficult life. So nonetheless, Musa alayhi salam grows. One day he walks by the city. Now Musa is used to living in the palace of Fir'aun. One day he says, let me walk outside. What's going on outside? So he goes outside, he walks. What he sees happening is he finds two people fighting. One of them is a believer, is a mu'min from Bani Israel. And the other one is one of the supporters of Fir'aun. In fact, although the Quran doesn't say so, but some historians or traditions say that he was the baker of Fir'aun. The baker, the one who was making food for Fir'aun, was ordering one of the children of Israel, or the Israels, that you have to carry the food with me to the palace. And that man saying, I don't want to do that. But because the children of Israel were enslaved, they were forced to do so. So there was an argument, a fight erupted. When this man, who was a mu'min, saw Musa alayhi salam, he sought help. Come and help me out. So Musa came, he punched the other guy. One punch dropped him dead. وَكَذَهُ, as Quran says, give him a punch. He had a strength. Allah gave him strength. So he dropped dead. Now it was a problem. He killed one of the Fir'aun people, or the people of Fir'aun. The next day, the same man was also fighting again with another man. That was a troublemaker. So he comes, again, help me Musa, help me. Musa tells him, you're a troublemaker, and he raises his hand. Now this man thinks Musa is going to kill him. Musa wanted to actually push the other guy away. But when this guy saw Musa, talking to him, telling him, you're a troublemaker, he told him, you want to kill me too, like you killed someone yesterday? So he kind of ratted on Musa, basically. Now the other people realize, oh, he was the one who killed that man. We were looking for the killer. We didn't know who it was. Now we know. So then, a man came to Musa from Fir'aun's palace. And there's a difference of opinion. Some say it was Mu'minu Ali Fir'aun, the one whom Allah talks about, who was Fir'aun's cousin. Fir'aun's first cousin, a man by the name of Hizqeel. Hizqeel was a mu'min, a believer. Became a mu'min. But he was with Fir'aun. He was next to him. So he came later on and he told Musa, he said, he overheard that they want to kill him, they want to arrest him. So he came and told Musa, run away. So Musa ran away. And that's where our story that I read begins with. He runs. When he starts running away, he starts out by saying, وَلَمَّا تَوَجَّهَ تِلْقَاءَ مَدْيَنَ قَالَ عَسَى رَبِّي أَن يَهْدِيَنِي سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ. That I ask Allah to guide me, I ask Allah to help me. That's a sign of a mu'min. That everything he does is asking Allah for help. So he goes, he leaves, he heads over towards Madian. He arrives in Madian, he finds that there are a group of shepherds. They have sheep. They all come across around a well and they feed their sheep from that well. There are those two ladies standing on the side and they have their sheep with them. They're waiting for everything to calm down. So he goes to these two ladies. He finds them, they're standing on the side. He tells them, why are you standing like this? How come you don't go and fetch water as well for your sheep? They say, it's too busy. Too busy. There are too many men out here. We don't want to go mingle with all these men. We're waiting for the crowd to die down, and then we will go and then we'll take some water and bring it to our sheep. So, don't you have any man to do this for you? They said, no, our father is old. He's an old man. That's why. So he feels sorry for them. Goes, he says, I'll do it. So he goes, he gets some water and he brings it to the sheep. So everything is good. These girls go back home. They go back home earlier than what they're supposed to come back at. Usually they wait until everyone is done and then they go back home. Now they finished early, let's say. So their father asks them, what brings you back early today? And they tell him the story. So the father tells one of them, go and call him over, this man. Sounds interesting. So she goes. Now listen how the Quran describes how she comes. Now this is very interesting. That's a very good lesson here. فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا. One of the two girls comes to Musa. تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ. She's coming, walking quietly, with dignity. She's not wearing high heels and then trak, approaching Musa alayhi salam. Or dressed to impress Musa alayhi salam. Or has all the makeup on and the perfume and, look myself up and go to Musa alayhi salam. So this tells us about the interaction between men and women. See, men and women are not forbidden to talk to one another. In fact, if you read Hadith al-Kisa, who narrates Hadith al-Kisa? Do you remember? Who does it say? عن جابر عن who? عن فاطمة عليها السلام. So Jabir عليه السلام, Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari رضوان الله تعالى عليه, one of the faithful companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he says, I heard Fatima. So Fatima told Jabir عليه السلام, Jabir رضوان الله تعالى عليه, that Hadith al-Kisa, the story of Hadith al-Kisa. So it's not haram. Even Fatima al-Zahra عليها السلام is talking to a man like Jabir. But professionalism, talking within the boundaries of the Sharia. They don't sit down smoking shisha together, at night, drinking chai, doing whatever they're doing. No, the boundaries of the Sharia need to be maintained. They don't come on Facebook, Facebooking each other, tweeting one another, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. That's not the way it is. She comes with modesty. She walks with dignity. She comes and quietly she invites him over. She comes ala istihya, as Quran says, modestly. And then she would tell him that my father is inviting you over. Come with us. So he walks. It is said in the tradition, not in the Quran. He told her, okay. He said, however, I don't want you to walk in front of me. I will walk in front of you, and you tell me which way I go. قال نحن بني يعقوب لا ننظر في أعجاز النساء. Says, we, the children of Yaqub alayhi salam. Yaqub is Israel. Yaqub himself is Israelullah. That's why they're called the children of Israel. Okay? So Yaqub, we say we, the children of Yaqub, referring of course to his forefathers who were prophets, including himself, obviously. He says we don't look at the figure of a woman. That's not our tradition. When we talk to women, we talk with modesty. You know, when you talk to them, you keep your eyes down. Yes, every now and then raise your head just to acknowledge them, and instead of her looking at your bald spot in your head the whole time. I mean, you raise your head just to tell her that, you know what, I am here, you know, I'm still listening to you, but doesn't mean you kind of go like this. That's not either the way. Okay? No. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they say that if you accidentally happen to look at a woman who may be dressed inappropriately, accidentally, that first look is for you, that first accidental look. But then don't turn around, you know, and have a second look here. Now the first look is the first accidental look. It's not the first look. And you just stick there. Someone calls you, says, wait, it's my first look, don't disrupt. Otherwise I'm afraid it's going to go. That, of course, is also inappropriate. So, he says, we don't do this. So I will walk in front of you, and you from behind me. You tell me, I go right, left, etc., etc. So that's what she does, and he arrives at the father's place, and guess who the father is? Which man? Shu'aib. Prophet Shu'aib alayhi salam in Madian. Interestingly, Shu'aib is one of the 5 prophets who spoke Arabic. There are 5 prophets who spoke Arabic. Shu'aib, do you know who else? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, that's a very good one, you know, that's a cheating one. No, Ibrahim didn't speak Arabic. Saleh did. Ismail, he learned Arabic because he grew up in Arabia. So he learned, yes, he was speaking Arabic. And the last one? Hud alayhi salam, Sahih, Hud. 5 prophets spoke Arabic. Okay? And like I said, of course, what I'm saying, all prophets, they speak all languages. We know that. What we're saying is to their people, what language their people spoke. Okay? Otherwise, all the prophets know all the languages. So, Shu'aib and Musa alayhi salam, and this is actually a pretty good example, they speak all languages, because Musa alayhi salam did not speak Arabic. But I mean, they communicated with Shu'aib quite well. So there's a way for them to communicate. So they sat down. Shu'aib alayhi salam told him, don't worry, Allah has saved you from the Zalimeen. Allah accepted your dua. Allah has accepted your dua. And he told him the whole story. This is why I left Misr or Egypt. Now I'm here. Now, his daughter, the same one who called Musa alayhi salam, she called him over, the same one. She tells her father, she says, Father, قالت إحداهما. إحداهما is the same one that came تمشي على استحياء, the same one. يا أبت استأجر. Hire him. Hire him. Why? إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. He's strong and he's honest. And that's another thing about the task that anyone you need to do and accomplish. He needs to have those 2 criteria. One, he needs to be able to perform the task. He should have the ability to do so. And second, he should have the honesty. Should be an honest individual to do so. Now, her father then turned to her. Now, this raised the curiosity of the father, Shu'aib, the prophet. He said, now, hold on a second, come here, young lady, come here. Yes, father. You're saying he's strong and he's honest. Okay, Strong, maybe I can understand how you figured that out, because maybe he went with all the men and he managed to get the water for you, so you saw he's strong. How did you know he was honest? How did you figure that out? Tell me now. Have you been doing something, Facebooking or tweeting, or what have you been doing? Your shisha, something? I need to know here. Come. She said, Father, no. When I called him over, he told me that he will not walk behind me, but rather I will walk behind him. Said, that's how I found that he's an honest man. I said, oh, okay, now all clear, alhamdulillah, good. So the father goes back to Musa alayhi salam, and he tells him, I want you to marry one of my daughters. You to marry one of my daughters. Okay. Now there's a condition though. What is it? على أن تأجرني 8 حجج. Hijaj, interesting, comes from Hajj. I want you to stay with me for 8 years. 8 years. And then if he says, فَإِنْ أَتْمَمْتَ عَشْرًا فَمِنْ عِنْدِكَ. If you stay 2 more years to make it complete 10, that will be even better. But I need 8. You want to stay another 2 more years? No problem. أهلا وسهلا. All right. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أَشُقَّ عَلَيْكَ. The job I want to give you is not going to be so difficult. I'm not going to use you or abuse you. It will be kind of mutual relationship here. So Musa alayhi salam responds by saying, سَتَجِدُنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. Now obviously Musa alayhi salam said, you will find me among those who are virtuous. Now Musa of course knows he is virtuous. He knows he's from the Salihin. But he's telling Shu'aib, you will find me. You'll see the proof that I am indeed among the Salihin. Alright. Now interestingly, the word that Shu'aib uses for year is Hijaj, from Hajj. Which means that even at the time of Shu'aib alayhi salam, there was Hajj. People used to go to Hajj. Hajj is done on an annual basis. Therefore, when he says 8 Hajjes, let's say for example, 8 Hajj, he's referring to 8 years. So that is going on there. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says also in the Quran, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ, not عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. The laws of Allah apply to all of His creation. Everyone in dunya must go to Hajj. But, of course, some people choose not to become Muslims altogether, for which Allah says, okay, no problem. But the law is still there. You have to go to Hajj. I mean, once you have the ability to do so, of course. But it's wajib. Everyone must pray. The laws of Allah is for everyone, universal. إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ. That's a law. However, لَا إِكْرَاهَ فِي الدِّينِ. There's no compulsion in religion. You don't want to become a Muslim? We respect that from you. لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. No problem. You have your laws, we have our laws. But the laws apply to everyone. Everyone. That is the proof that some of our fuqaha and jurists use. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. Everyone, people should do it. And this tradition was not only introduced by our Holy Prophet ﷺ, it was there from the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And that's why Shu'aib is saying Hijaj, which means there was Hajj at the time of Shu'aib alayhi salam. And people used to go to the Kaaba. That's why even the mushrikeen, the kuffar, they used to come and do Hajj, some sort of a Hajj. They had some sort, whatever left over, let's say, from the tradition of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they used to do it, although it was manipulated. For example, they used to come and do tawaf around the Kaaba naked. Naked. Used to take their clothes off and go do tawaf naked. And their idea is that these clothes that we're wearing, well, we may not have got them through legitimate sources. No, maybe one tribe goes and raid another tribe. We go steal, we go lie, we cheat. And here now we're kind of doing tawaf for Allah, so we might as well kind of take ourselves away from this materialistic world. So we're just between us and Allah. So that was their idea. You know, interestingly, you say this is in Jahiliyyah. Okay, so this is like 1400 years ago. Few months ago, in Canada, in the city where I come from, in Edmonton, a yoga instructor comes up with a similar idea. He says, come do yoga naked for men. And why? Because you take off all your clothes, disassociate yourself from the materialistic world, and just you and yoga, you know, just you and inner peace. I was reading this in the newspaper, I'm like, my God, man, you know, Quraysh was 1400 years ahead of you. Like, way ahead of you guys. But see these traditions, subhanAllah, coming back again. Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam tells Quraysh, or tells the Muhajirin and the Ansar in her sermon, Khutbah al-Fadakiyya, وَكُنْتُمْ تَقْتَاتُونَ الْوَرَقَ أو الطَّرَقَ وَكُنْتُمْ تَشْرَبُونَ الطَّرَقَ وَتَقْتَاتُونَ الْقِدَّ وَالْوَرَقَ. She said, you used to eat before my father sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, taraq. You used to drink taraq. What is taraq? Taraq is when for example, there's a water, and some animals go and urinate in that water. So it's a contaminated water. They would go drink it. Okay? That was their life. Eating, they would eat, you know, the skin that they take off the cow. There is some, for example, some meat left over on that skin. They would try to eat that skin, that meat, you know, whatever is left over on the skin. Or leaves that were not edible leaves. Not like, for example, you know, grape leaves. No, non-edible leaves. They would take them, they would eat them. Islam came and said, oh, this is haram. You know, you can't eat this stuff. Eating sand, for example, for us Muslims is haram. You can't eat sand. One exception is made is in the Tawbah of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and eating a tiny little bit. As the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, Allah has given Hussein three things. One is the dua is accepted under his dome. Second, the imams are from his progeny. And third, the shifa fi tawbatah, that there is cure in his tawbah. That's the only exception. Otherwise, we're not allowed. And then, all of a sudden, here I am, and again about a year ago, I read about this new restaurant in the United States. Fancy restaurant, and people are going there, and this restaurant is serving mud. Mud! It has a soup and has a bit of mud in that soup. And he thinks this guy is coming up with all this genius idea that this mud has some energy, you know, it gives you energy. So the soil has all these metabolites, all these energy, you know, ingredients that you need for your body, so it's really good for you. You're thinking, man, you know, subhanAllah, you know, Allah came 1400 years ago with our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to revolutionize humanity, and here we are 1400 years later going back. But nonetheless, these are the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So going back to our story here, Shu'aib tells Musa alayhi salam, I would like you to marry one of my daughters, and I want you to stay with me for 8 years. And this takes me to a very important thing, and that is the concept or the topic of marriage. Marriage, of course, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, sunnati, فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. It is my tradition. Whomever does not follow my tradition is not part of me. And Islam, when it comes to speaking of marriage, it describes it as an institution. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says, مَا بُنِيَ بِنَاءٌ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ التَّزْوِيجِ. There is no institution made in the religion of Islam more beloved to Allah than the institution of marriage. It's a very important institution. It's there for a reason. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came and put and encouraged the people to get married. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he came and he said, get your youth married at a young age. Don't let them wait. We sometimes have this notion that, my son, he needs to first graduate from university, then do his master's, do his PhD, then get a job, then buy a house, and before he retires, inshallah, then no problem, he can get married, no problem. Before he retires, by that time, inshallah, he can get married. Whereas Islam doesn't share the same view. Islam says the younger, the better. Of course, here the legal age could be 16, 18 years of age, so you stick with the legal law. But at that age, try to encourage them to get married. This marriage, they can get married, they go study together, they learn together, they live their lives together. The hadith says that any youth who gets married, shaitan will shout, will cry, will say, woe upon him, he has closed a major door from me. The door of his desires, that door which made many people fall, unfortunately. Many people fell through that door. It is said there was a man who was a abid in Bani Israel. Bani Israel had a group of men who used to be called Ubbad. Ubbad means that worshippers, they would live literally in a worshipping place and never leave it. They just stay there, abid. And for years they would pray in that place. In our religion, we don't have it. In Islam, we don't have that. In Islam, in fact, we're discouraged. لا رهبانية في الدين عندنا. We don't have this kind of ascetic living where people just go live in a cave or live in a place. We don't have that in Islam. In fact, hadith which is narrated in Bukhari actually, it says one day 3 people, they wanted to follow the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one of them said, I will fast every day of the year. The other one said, I will pray all the time in the masjid. And the third said, I will leave my wife and I will go live away from her, just to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet, when he heard this, he called them over. He said, come on, what are you guys doing? He said, we want to follow your example, Ya Rasulullah. He said, what is my example? I don't fast every day. There are days I fast, days I don't. I don't pray in the masjid all the time. You should go work. Go get a job. You have to. Can't just sit down there praying to Allah, send me rizq. Get a job. You have to work. You have to cater to your family, to your children, etc. And third, I have a family. I don't leave my family and go live in a cave. So this is not my example. Don't try to interpret things your way. Live by my example, not the way you like. So we don't have that in our religion. Nonetheless, this man, Abid in Bani Israel, one day they bring him a woman who is mad. She's a mad woman. Her brothers bring her to him and they tell him, can you please help cure her? So he says, sure. She was very beautiful, so Shaitan came to him and whispered to him to commit the ma'asiyah. And unfortunately he did. Commits the ma'asiyah, wal-'iyadu billah. Now slowly she becomes pregnant. Shaitan comes to him and tells him, kill her. And tell her brothers that, she just died. Who's going to question you? There's no forensics here and there's no, CSI or whatever it is. They'll come and dig out and try to figure out investigation, or pathologists who will come and, khalas, she died, bury her and finish. So, he does. He kills her. And then he buries her. And then Shaitan goes to her brothers and tells them that this is what this man has done to your sister. And if you don't believe me, go dig her out and you'll see. So they go, dig her out, and exactly, they find him guilty. So they come and they say, we have to kill you. So they take him, they put him on a cross, and they take him to kill him. As they're taking him to kill him, Shaitan comes to him. He tells him, listen, I put you in all this mess. I can take you out of this mess. If you believe in me, do sujood to me. And he does. and then he gets killed. He gets killed. He loses dunya and he loses akhirah. All started with one mistake. That's why, brothers and sisters, sometimes I tell you, be careful, be careful. This is why the ayah was saying in Surah Al-Hashr, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ اكْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرْ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْكَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ فَكَانَ عَاقِبَتُهُمَا أَنَّهُمَا فِي النَّارِ خَالِدَيْنِ فِيهَا وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الظَّالِمِينَ. Like the example, in fact, this ayah, according to tafsir, is about this man I just told you about. But of course, it applies not only to him, to all of us. Shaitan comes to man, tells him, don't believe in Allah, go enjoy yourself, dress to impress, have fun. Life is good. Friday night, Saturday night, go out, party, enjoy it. What do you mean coming here to Husayniyah, month of Ramadan? What is all this nonsense? You can always do istighfar, tawbah, tawbah. You can always do this. Don't worry about it. Enjoy your life. Go out, party. But then when the reality strikes, he tells him, sorry man, as-salama, you go to Jahannam. Bye-bye. You deal with it now. Inni akhafu Allah. Iblis says, Rabbal Alameen. So, we should be smart. That's why Allah is telling us, Alam a'had ilaykum ya bani Adam an la ta'budu ash-shaytan. Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin wa an i'buduni. Hada siratun mustaqim. Haven't I told you, humans, don't follow shaitan. Don't follow him. He'll fool you. He will lie to you. He will make things look so beautiful to you. He will come and other people will come say, take drugs. Drugs are good. They make you forget. They make you, not worry about stress. They don't tell you about the consequences. They will destroy your life. They will ruin you. They will kill you. Just recently, a couple of days, last week in Vancouver, I lived in Vancouver. One major actor was found dead in a hotel, a very famous actor. Dead in a hotel. From drug and alcohol overdose. A deadly combination. Famous actor. And this is not the first time. Not the first time.
Not the last time.
So, Shaitan doesn't come and tell you these things. An actor, enjoy your life, have fun, go out, enjoy boys, girls, everything. But you might be killed. And then what will happen? Khalas. Lost in dunya and in akhirah. Wal-'iyadhu billah. So Shaitan comes and tells you a beautiful picture, but it's like a mirage, a mirage. It's not real. You go there, it's nothing in there. It's just a mirage. That's what he does. So here, Islam says to avoid all this. Boys and girls, get them married at a young age. You save their lives. You save their future. That's one. Second, also, when a boy gets married at the age, let's say 18, 19, and the girl is also 18, 19, it helps them to mold their lives together. They kind of mold their lives together. Whereas if the boy, let's say, becomes, 30, for example, so by this time he's graduated, he's working, he's got his profession, he's got his career ongoing. The girl, let's say she's also 25, 26, she's also working, she's got her career going. Now maybe there might be a time when, say he finds a job somewhere else. Now I'm not saying this is going to happen all the time, I'm just giving it as an example. Like they say in Arabic, he finds a job somewhere, or she finds a job somewhere else. They got a better opportunity. She will say, well, you know what about my job? I'm really progressing here in my company, and maybe in a couple of years I could become a senior. And if I become a senior, I'll collect pension, etc., etc. For example, all these things. He would say the same thing as well, if it's him. So, there will be a clash, all of a sudden. Because he's looking after his career. Now he's There was a man, I read this in the newspaper, in San Francisco, a very rich person in San Francisco, one of the guys who made a lot of money on the Silicon Valley, those big days of the booms. So he says, one day I came home and my wife asked me, she said, "You're working so hard." He says, "Yes, I have to." She asked me, "Who's more important, me or work?" He said, without even thinking, I told her work. Then I realized, oops, what have I just said? But he said, at the time, I truly meant it. Work to me was more important. So she said she packed up and left. That's it. And that was the end of my first marriage. He says, then I realized the mistake I've made. This is wrong. It's not work. Later on, when he grew a bit older, he said, I realized work is not going to be there when I fall sick. Work is not going to be looking after me when I need someone to talk to. Work is not going to be there when I need a companion whom I can share my life with. So I realized, you know what? All this work may not be worth it after all. And I changed my view on marriage. And these are, now I'm married, now I have children, and now I've realized my mistake. But it's so unfair also. You've ruined the life of a woman, of a lady, for example. You married her and then you let her go just because you didn't realize it was a mistake. Of course, this is also wrong. Whereas, for example, if they were together from their young age, they grow up together, they kind of shape their lives together. That's important. So, they are at peace. They realize this is kind of good. The man and the woman, the boy and the girl, they're together. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we need these restrictions in the sense that we need to have a marriage. Don't go out and just enjoy your life. Boys, girls, whatever it is, and then I'll worry about it. This is also haram. Not only is it haram, it's against human nature. People who are doing it themselves are complaining. And yesterday I gave you examples. I don't want to repeat myself. Well, there was a man one day, he came next to a Sayyid, Ahlul. There were a bunch of guys sitting all together, some people. This man had studied abroad in some European country. He got in like a doctorate degree, so he came one day. They were talking about marriage with this alim. So this alim, this man says, he says, what is all this nonsense about marriage? I got myself married to you, I accept, and all these words. Where I went to do my doctorate degree, boys and girls get together, they have, enjoy their lives, it's fun. What is all this nonsense of marriage? Why Islam has all these things? This alim, he saw that those people sitting around, they kind of started to buy into this. Sometimes people, unfortunately, they think, oh, this guy has a doctorate degree, he knows what he's talking about, so that's it, khalas. And he's been to a European country, and you know what, it makes sense, if you think about it at first. It makes sense, okay, well, why this whole marriage thing? They're having children, they're growing up, they're raising families, and what's this whole thing, if you think about it initially? This alim then, he says that the situation does not really allow for a dialogue here. These people are going to be brainwashed. So he turns to this really respected doctor and he tells him, shut up. Now this doctor is shocked. It's like, he becomes so angry, he turns red. It's like, I'm a doctor, how dare you speak to me in this language? Of course, he didn't say this, but he became so angry, and he's furious, and he turned red, and he was about to explode. And then he got up and left. This alim said to everyone, no one leaves, all of you stay here. Nobody leaves. They stay for about a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours later. The alim says, okay, everyone come with me, we're going to go to his house. We're going to this guy's house, mashallah. Hang on. So they go to his house, knock at his door, he opens the door, he finds the alim at his door. Of course, 3 hours later, although he's still upset, but he's calmed down a little bit. And the alim is at his house, at his door, he's not going to tell him, get lost. So he says, okay, come on in. He says, you know, I brought everyone with me here, so we'll all come in. They all sit together, and this alim tells him, listen, first of all, I would like to apologize to you in front of everyone else here. But second of all, I wanted to teach you a lesson. He said, what do you mean? He said, you're saying, what is the point of these words that we utter in marriage? You know, if you think about it, between haram and halal, 6 words. That's it. زوجتك نفسي على الصداق المعلوم. And he says, قبلت التزويج. 7 words. Right. That makes a halal and a haram relationship. 7 words. You're saying, what is the point of these 7 words? What is it? They're just words. Who cares? He said, if words don't matter, why is it when I told you shut up, you turned so red and the blood started to boil inside you and you're about to explode? I just said words. I just said, in fact in Arabic it's 1 word, ikhras. Ikhras. 1 word. I just said 1 word. Why did it hurt you so much? Why did it bother with you so much? I said, words carry a lot of value, my friend. Don't underestimate the power of words. Words can make you boil, and words could calm you down. Words can make something haram and could make something halal. Don't tell me there is no power in words. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. These 7 words make a contract, make a bond, form a relationship. Where if you remember last year I said those people who just get in a civil union, later on in their lives they feel insecure, they feel worried because they say, what if he just walks out on me? Or she walks out on me? That's a research paper that was done, a study that was done about this. Whereas married couple did not have that insecurity. Because there is a bond, there's a contract between them. So Allah encourages this. Allah says this should be done. So we, parents, need to encourage our children when they're 18, 19. Tell them, son, daughter, get married. Get married. This is good for you. Try to explain it to them. Sometimes it's our fault. We tell them, no, no, no. He comes to say, I want to get married. No, no, no. You're still young. You're a baby. What do you want? Get lost. And then unfortunately what ends up happening is, God forbid, a haram. He goes and forms a haram relationship. And instead of halal. Halal is right in front of him. So open the halal. Allah has kept the door open. Why do you close it? Facilitate it for him. Help him. Help him. As mother and a father. And if the mother and the father cannot help him, this becomes the responsibility of the community. The community must help in that case. They must. It's a duty. A man comes, he says, I'm only 19, I'm a student in the university, for example. I don't have money, I want to get married. I found this good girl, but I don't have money. The community must help him. So that he doesn't do the haram. So help him out. Now, that's with marriage. What characteristics to look for? What did Shu'aib alayhi salam look for? He did not look for the money of Musa. In fact, Musa had come only with his clothes on. It's nothing. He was so hungry, in fact, according to the ayah, when he said, رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ Faqir, Ya Allah, I need some money. I need some food. He's praying for food. He said, my Lord, help me out. Help me. He had nothing. But he didn't look for that. He looked for an honest man. Ameen. He looked for a muttaqi, a mu'min. A man with good akhlaq. And that's what we need to look for. The boy and the girl. 2 attributes. Her iman, or his iman, and his akhlaq. A man came to one of the Ma'sumeen alayhi salam and said, a man has approached my daughter for marriage, but he's a bit bad-tempered. You know, he throws tantrums. He said, don't get your daughter married to him until he fixes himself. You know, go to some anger management classes. Help yourself out. Because, you know, the guy, you know, one day his wife, he comes to the house, she's made, for example, I don't know, let's say she's made qima. He's like, why did you make qima? I want a dolma today. What is this? And he throws a tantrum. Something so silly, but yes, unfortunately, some people are like that. Or she could have a problem. Brings her a perfume. She's like, why did you bring me a perfume? I wanted flowers instead. And she throws a tantrum. Last year you brought me a perfume. This year also perfume? Be genuine. Or, why did you miss my birthday? My God, you know, Al-Damatul Kubra. It's a huge disaster. He comes, you know, the man is, you know, the guy is spaced out. He doesn't really know what day of the week it is even. Never mind, you know, what day of the year. He comes in and the wife is like this. He's like, what's the matter? What day is it today? Well, I don't even know what day it is today. He looks at his watch, he looks at his phone. So I don't know, this is the second day of January. It's like, so what about second day of January? What about the second day of January? Ma'a salama, she got some of these. You know, take it easy. You know, give him a break a little bit, you know, for God. So sometimes, or she would come into the house and finds him abusan qamtarira wal-'iyadu billah. Whereas if he's a muttaqi, a mu'min, he wouldn't throw this out. He's got akhlaq, he has honor. Yes, he gets upset, he controls himself. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying we're all ma'soomeen, and this is a message I want to give to everybody. Every man, make sure to understand that you have not married Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. And every woman realize you have not married Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Therefore, one day he will forget your birthday. One day she will not make the thing that you like. A problem will happen. But how do you go about solving it? Communication is important. You sit down and talk. Have that communication. Have that transparency. Have that trust in each other. This is very important. Don't make that trust go away. If the trust goes away, it kills the whole relationship over time. Be satisfied with what you have. Be content. Al-qana'atu kanzun la yafna. And this is هذا مضمون حديث أمير المؤمنين. Imam Ali alayhi salam has a hadith around this, where he says anyone who has qana'a is happy. He says Alhamdulillah. He doesn't have, also Alhamdulillah. That person is truly happy. He will be happy and he will be healthy. Imam Ali says, healthy. True, because he doesn't worry about stress. He's not stressed out. Ask the doctors. One of the major factors for many illnesses is stress. He's stressed out always. No, this guy is cool. No, well, doesn't mean he's not going to look to solve the problem. Like, okay, oh well, you know, he does. But he's not worried. You know, he thinks clearly, he sits down and tries to figure out how to solve that problem. I have $100, I'll spend $100. I have 1,000, I'll spend 1,000. I have $1, I'll spend $1. Alhamdulillah. I don't care. I don't care what kind of a house I live in, how big, how small, what kind of a car I drive, how big, how small. I don't really care about these things. As long as I'm happy. Alhamdulillah. Allah gives me the latest, biggest house. Alhamdulillah. He gives me a can or a hut to live in. Also, alhamdulillah. Khalas. Qana'a. Happy. But that needs to be addressed as a couple. As a couple. So those two criteria, Iman and Taqwa and Akhlaq. Those two things, manners, his behavior, her behavior, how does she behave? Those are important things to look into. Now, there could be additional factors that a woman can have or a man can have. These are extras. For example, a woman might say, I want someone who is educated. Okay, that's not a criteria, religious criteria. This is a personal criteria. Religion doesn't say anything about education. I have seen people where the man has a doctorate degree, the woman is a high school graduate. And they're living together very happy. And I'm not talking about 50 years ago, huh? No. This is recent. They're living a happy life. She understands him, he understands her. So education is not a necessary tool. But some people, they say no. A woman says, I have a PhD in philosophy. I don't want to marry someone who is a potato farmer, and that's it. The only thing he knows about this life is potatoes. I want to sit down with him and talk about Plato. He wants to talk about potato. There'll be a problem in the conversation. Be like, Plato, yeah, potato. But no, can realize it's not going to last too long. But it's not a criteria, a religious criteria. And one thing which is even worse is when some people put personal requirements as money. That I want him to have a car, house, I don't know what else. He has to buy me a car, remember my birthdays, and this is all, of course, nonsense. You could have someone who's poor. Allah says, يَكُونَ فُقَرَاء يُغْنِهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Min fadlih. Allah will give them. If they are poor, get them married, don't worry. Allah will make them rich. Allah will bless their lives. Allah will add it to them. So that's important. So what's required in the religion is the iman and the akhlaq. Those two things. You find one of them, or you find both of them in a man or in a girl, that's what you look for. Her beauty, how beautiful he is, how much money he's got, her education, these are secondary issues that you can add. But these are the main ones, those two. Then once you get married together, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Respect one another. Respect is very important in the relationship. The man respects the wife, and the wife respects the husband. They respect one another. That's also very important in the relationship. Respect. One day, it is said in the ahadith, a man from the children of Israel, he was a mu'min. He, in the dream, sees this angel who tells him, listen, you are a virtuous man, salih. So Allah has decided to bless your life with money. But you choose which part of your life you want to be blessed with money. The first part, the first half, or the second half? What do you like? Only half, not the whole life. Half. Which one do you choose? This man, in his dream, he told this angel, you know what? Let me ask my wife and I'll come back to you. Very good husband, mashallah. Even in his sleep, in his dream, which is where the subconscious mind is working here, he's thinking about the wife, mashallah. Very good. That's why he had a happy marriage, because he never says yes or no. He just says yes. He just keeps quiet. Perfect marriage. So, he wakes up in the morning, he tells his wife, my wife, this is what I dreamed about. And it appears to be a true dream. This is not. So what do you suggest? First half or second half? She says, go for the first half. Go for the first. Allah is too generous. This is probably a test from Allah. If He gives us in the first half and we use it properly, then He might also bless us for the second half. He says, okay. So in the dream, again, he sleeps. The next day, the angel comes and he says, okay, I want the first half. He says, done. Indeed, this man's business starts to grow. His life starts to turn over. And he starts to earn money. His wife immediately tells him, remember, this money is not for us. This is money for us to share. So let us help our relatives, the poor people. We'll take whatever we need, but the rest we need to help. Very good wife, a virtuous wife, a mu'min. Respect for one another. And he does. He says, okay. He starts spending money. Helping the poor, helping his relatives, helping people. After so many years, one day in the dream, he sees the angel coming back again, who tells him that Allah has seen what you have done with your money, and He's pleased with it. So He will continue with it for the rest of the life of yours. Allah will give you. And indeed, he continued with this until he died. So it's something good to have in a relationship where there's this respect, this mutual understanding in the relationship. In fact, believe it or not, in the ahadith, it is actually said, the Imam says, go tell your wife, I love you, uhibbuki. He says it has an impact on her. Now the hadith doesn't say go also buy her flower, but you can buy her flowers. It has an impact on her. It affects her. See, our religion, subhanAllah, has gone in every detail, even to this detail, this much detail. The hadith says, man, you should help your wife with the chores of the house chores. Whomever does so, he is acting like the Siddiqeen. Siddiqeen. Yusuf ayyuhal Siddiq. Siddiq. And Maryam, Allah talks about her, wa ummuhu Siddiqah. Siddiq. Siddiq in the Quran is only mentioned to the Ma'soom. Yusuf was Ma'soom, Maryam Ma'soom. And the word Siddiq is not given to anyone other than a Ma'soom in the Quran. Therefore, we also attribute it to anyone who is a Ma'soom. Nonetheless, anyone who does so, he helps the wife in the house chores, he's among the Siddiqeen. Amir al-Mu'mineen used to help Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam in the house chores. He used to help her out in the house duties. So that is the kind of life, and that is the perfect example we have of a marriage life. In fact, this is the only time in history where a ma'soom marries a ma'sooma and the sons are ma'soomin. Perfect family, truly, perfect family. That family, we need to study it more. The system of that family. How did it all live together? How they interacted together? Tomorrow I'll talk more about raising children. That's more for the parents there. But we'll see that perfect family. So, all in all, brothers and sisters, what we learn from these verses in the Quran is Shu'aib alayhi salam choosing Musa alayhi salam as a husband for his daughter. Because he found him honest. He found him with good akhlaq, with good manners. He has taqwa, iman. So he asked him to marry one of his daughters. He did not ask about his money. He did not ask about what family he comes from, what tribe he comes from. That is secondary. His akhlaq, his iman, his taqwa, his faith. That's important. Encourage your children to get married at a young age. This is the tradition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa. Educate them, teach them, help them in their marriage life, and try not to interfere in every little detail in their lives. You know, every day you call the girl, so what did he do to you today? Every morning, you know, the mother would call her son, and so, what did she cook for you today? No, stay out of their lives a little bit, you know, give them a room to breathe. Of course, you guide them, you help them, but when they have problems, let them solve it. Let them solve it together. Then they can work things out, and always try to work things out as a husband and a wife. There is no such thing in husband and wife as my way or the highway. No, there is always a compromise. Compromise. The wife does something wrong. There is nothing wrong in you telling her, you know what, okay, let's just forget about it. Let's start over. Don't be like, oh, she made the mistake, she has to come and apologize to me. No. Or he's done the wrong, I will not talk to him until he comes and apologizes. No, not in a marriage relationship. That doesn't work. You go together. Compromise. Forgive and forget. That's what makes a life long and fruitful and in the light of Iman. And as I mentioned, keep it lively with Quran, with dua. In the morning, wake up to dua al-sabah. Wake up to Quran, not to music and to whatever it is. In television, watch some things which are of barakah, blessing, not things which are haram, wal-'iyadu billah. and so on. So fill your life, fill it with mercy, with rahmah. And that's what Allah refers to as وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to whatever He pleases, and to help us, inshaAllah, in this world and in the hereafter, to live the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and his divine family, and to die their death, and to be resurrected with them, inshaAllah. And may Allah grant us their shafa'ah in dunya, in the qabr, and in the akhirah. Ila arwah al-mu'minina wal-mu'minat. رحم الله من يقرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.